I think one of the things that sets me apart is that my ability to actually take these complicated concepts and actually break it down so people can actually understand it and actually implement on it. Because a lot of people, and we talked about it before, even some of the most successful individuals, quote unquote, right, in the teaching realm or whatever, a lot of them, they've done great things, but when it comes down to teaching, they just teach from a theoretical standpoint, and you have to be the type of individual that can pull from it and like go implement. Most of them can't teach in a way of do this, do this, do this, do this. From what I've personally seen, do this, do this, do this, and get a result. Like in a system, they can just teach big picture, and now you got to be able to pull from that. And this is for some of the greatest minds ever, right? They teach from, and you got to just be able to be somebody who can like dissect it and like pull from it and then kind of put your own system together.
Welcome to the $1 Million Equation Podcast, a podcast about the easiest, fastest way to build $1 million business based on the best-selling book, The $1 Million Equation. If you love business, each episode reveals all of the core fundamental essentials for growth. Now, here's your host, Richelle Shaw.
So tell me about your favorite client ever. Not ideal client, right? Because ideal client, I think is easy. Yeah, we want people who pay, we want people to, but like, who have you worked with over the years that is your absolute favorite?
So my favorite client ever, this gonna be interesting for you to hear, probably. My favorite client ever is now my business partner, Dre. So because I know Dre mentioned before that he was a client one time.
Yeah.
So Dre is my favorite client ever.
Wow.
And I never even thought about that until now when you asked.
Why?
So when me and Dre, so Dre been here through his whole journey, right? So we met in a program, and we just kind of built. And I started a membership site. He joined that. He was speaking in it, and then he ended up becoming a client. And I know he shared with you before. He was like, even with the monthly payments, I was like having to figure some things out. However, we still worked and we still built. And then we got to a point where he was doing his thing how he do it. You know how Dre is amazing at what he does. And of course, I was doing my thing. And one day I was just like, bro, it's like, while we're doing the same thing, why are we doing it separately? When we can just collab and then just bring our powers together and then just kind of like the Transformers, right? Like when we come together, you just become something bigger, right? So, and then fast forward, here we are.
That's so
now,
awesome.
Of course, it wasn't a smooth ride. We went through a lot of things during that time, but ultimately, here we are.
Favorite client ever became your partner.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So with what do you think truly sets you apart from everybody else out there? Of course, your story is crazy, bananas. But what do you think it is? What do you think it is?
I think one of the things that sets me apart is that my ability to actually take these complicated concepts and actually break it down so people can actually understand it and actually implement on it. Because a lot of people, and we talked about it before, even some of the most successful individuals, quote unquote, right, in the teaching realm or whatever, a lot of them, they've done great things, but when it comes down to teaching, they just teach from a theoretical standpoint, and you have to be the type of individual that can pull from it and like go implement. Most of them can't teach in a way of do this, do this, do this, do this. From what I've personally seen, do this, do this, do this, and get a result. Like in a system, they can just teach big picture, and now you got to be able to pull from that. And this is for some of the greatest minds ever, right? They teach from, and you got to just be able to be somebody who can like dissect it and like pull from it and then kind of put your own system together. You know what I'm saying? So I hired one of my favorite mentors ever, Jerry, when me and him first started working together, and I had to figure out the money to hire him, but I was like, I gotta hire this guy. I know he had made like over 30 million or whatever. And I was like, our first session, he would just give me so much nuggets. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, all right, so what's step one? I was like, you gave me a lot of stuff, but what do I do first? And then what do I do second? What do I do third? What do I do fourth? And he was like, I'm glad you asked me that. Because he was like, now I know how to teach. I know how to give it to you in steps. And so that's how I teach, right? It's like I teach how I learn. So it's like I can take these things and I'm like, all right, go do this step, go do this step, go do this step, go do this step, go do this step. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And a lot of people have done great things, but like being a great entrepreneur and being a great teacher is two completely different things. And if you can teach, and if you can be a great entrepreneur and teach it, that's a rare set of skills.
Yep, and that's you. I would say that that's exactly what sets you apart. That is absolutely you, is that you are a great entrepreneur and you're a great implementer and you're a great teacher because you are a done what's next kind of dude, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like even if I would say that my all-time ideal client and favorite client ever is you, right? I mean, you'll call me and say OG, because he calls me OG. We're gonna have to have like subtitles and a whole like dictionary for everybody at the end
For sure.
For sure. But you'll say, hey, so what do you think about this? I'll tell you. You'll say, okay, so would you say that I would do 1, 2, 3? I'd say exactly. And then 3 days later, you've done 1, 2, and 3. It's done.
Yeah.
You say, okay, these are the results. And then how do we do that? So I think that's where our partnership works so well, is that I love to synthesize data.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, well, this is what the data shows. So let's go in this direction. And you go, bet, done, it's over.
Yeah.
And we just like take off running. So that's probably my most literally, because why I got out of the business literally was because I would say, here's what you do. Here are the first 3 things. And I'd talk to them a week later and they'd go, okay, can you tell me those 3 things again?
Yep. Nobody's done anything. Yep.
Nothing. And I realized that I know I'm a fun friend and I'm funny to talk to, but it was just exhausting for me. Exhausting. So how do you handle those clients that don't implement?
So I think it goes back to one of those things. Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is one of my favorite first mentors that I never met.
Right.
He's probably single-handedly is one of the individuals who had a bigger impact on my life than it's crazy. And I've never met this guy. And he's an older white guy, somebody who I probably would have never chatted with. You know what I'm saying? It is crazy. Yeah. But it's just like, he was the first individual personal development I was introduced to it. I was given this CD. It's called Your First Year Network. Wouldn't call you First Year Network. Some network marketing. And I was just like, what is this dude talking about? But one of the things he talked about, and he used this analogy when it came to when it came to recruiting. He was like, he was basically like, it's the scripture where it's like, when you sow a seed, and I'm gonna butcher this, but it basically was like, when you sow a seed, the birds get some of the seed, right? And he was like, some of the seed falls on concrete. And then he was like, some of the seed grows really fast, but it doesn't really get any root, and it just burns up from.
Say it again. He gave you this scripture where it went what? Tell me again.
He basically used the analogy or the scripture when he was like, when you sow seed, so you throw some seed out to grow. He was like, some of it falls on ground, hard ground, doesn't take root in the soil. And he was like, and then the birds get some of the seed, right? And then he was like, some of it doesn't really take root and it just grows really fast. And then it just burns out with the sun. And it was like, and then you got some of the seed that actually takes root and it grows strong. So he was like, a lot of times people focus on the seed that the birds got. And he was like, you can't focus on that. Like the birds got them, right? focus on the other ones. And I was like, man, that makes so much sense. So even with clients, sometimes the birds just get them. The birds could be their spouse or their friends and family or some new shiny object or their limiting beliefs, right? Or this another thing that seems like it's easier, right? So, but a lot of times we'll stress ourselves out and be like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Am I bad? Should I stop doing this? And we'll feel bad. But in reality, just everybody's not going to do it. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. I know sometimes our program, it's going to show some people that entrepreneurship just isn't for them. Because we're not giving them the fluff. We're like, hey, this is what it's really going to take.
Right.
And then sometimes people look at what it's really going to take and they be like, you know what? The biggest thing I got from this program is that this business ain't for me. And that's a win.
Thank you so much for listening to my passion project and the $1 Million Equation podcast. Love what you're hearing? If you like it, I love it. So click the subscribe button to get each week your new favorite episode.
And that is a win. You know, I had a client too who just paid me to come in one was a plastic surgeon, and she paid me to just go through her entire business, right? And at the end, she said, tell me how much it's going to be that I need to make this work. And so I gave it to her, and she used that to go to her husband and say, look, I'm going back to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And then another one was he was another doctor, right? And he owned a med spa, and he's like, okay, so what is it going to take? We had already worked with him for about a year, and we doubled his income, you know, in that year, but he wanted to do bigger numbers. And by that end, it just didn't work. You know, once I showed him, okay, this is what it's going to take. But I think so many people underestimate the complexity of the task.
100%.
And that's probably my favorite thing to say over the last 10 years is you really underestimated how hard this is. But the best thing, and the whole reason why we're even chatting, is because you really made it so simple for coaches, consultants, service providers, folks who want to serve at the highest level to really get client attraction. So you want to talk about that just a little bit?
What, meaning the process, or what part specifically?
Yeah, either way of you know, I know that I have several listeners that are coach or consultants, right? Mm-hmm. Expert who wants to really monetize their expertise. What's the first thing they need to do?
So I think the first thing to do is, we got this thing called the SFM method, SFM, right? So if you just simplify it, so it's like the S is like specializing. So most coaches, consultants, service providers, they're all over the place. So I'll speak to the, so for example, I'll speak at this event later, and it's for tax professionals. 9 times out of 10, when I talk to these individuals and I ask them who's their ideal client, they're going to be like, anybody who needs to get their taxes filed, right? The tax professional who really excels is the ones who specifically chooses one. They're like, okay, I specifically help coaches save money on their taxes so they can, enjoy more profits. Yeah, that's way more powerful than I file taxes I do taxes. I'm a tax preparer. Like, saying I'm a tax preparer has zero value, right? It's like, what's the difference in you and just going to H&R Block, right? Or whatever mom and pop type of deal, right? So it's like, what if you say, I help coaches save money on taxes so they can have more profits in the bank account, right? Or you got a coach who says, I coach business owners, or I'm a business consultant. Like, what does that even mean? Like, business is so complex. You can't tell me that you come in and help with every area of business, right? Because there's like starting a business with LLCs and structures, or not even LLCs, because even people have simplified that so much. And they're like, Well, I just help you do an LLC. Well, there's way more levels to it than that. Like, you can't just tell somebody, hey, go get an LLC, because depending on where they are in their business, depending on their structure, all this different type of stuff, that's just blanket information. But a quote unquote business consultant may do that. So it's like, all right, so it's like, okay, I help startup businesses structure. Or another one may be like, I help businesses get funding. So you may say, I help businesses sell their business. Or you may be, I help businesses acquire other businesses, right? So you can't tell me that you're a business consultant and you do all of that, because that's ridiculous, because all those are like individual skills, and it takes time to develop all these. But so what if if you're a business consultant, what if you just chose one of those specialties? Because there's more money in just one of those specialties. Or I'm a marketing coach. Like, what does that mean? Well, I just help you with your marketing. What aspect of marketing? Well, all of it. No, it doesn't work like that, right? So that's the first thing, is like specializing. Who specifically do I work with, right? That's number one. So I was speaking at an event yesterday with videographers and photographers. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, what do you do video photography? He's like, I do both. I'm like, first of all, bro, you got to pick one, right? That's number one. Number two, who do you do? Well, I do it for restaurants and other entrepreneurs. It's like, dude, if a restaurant wants this service, they're going to go find somebody who specifically provides this service for restaurants, not somebody who does it for everybody. So the first thing is you got to specialize. That's the S. The F is funnelize. So it's like, how do you take somebody from being a complete stranger and turn them into a client without touching them, right? So with a funnel, if you look at a funnel, it's like, it's big at the top and it's smaller at the bottom. So the top is awareness. Then people become interested. Some going to be engaged. And then some become a client, right? Obviously, it's smaller as you get down, and that's how it's supposed to work, right? So you got the awareness, and then somebody engages. Now they become like a marketing qualified lead, right? So that means they're interested. They're kind of diving in, but they're not really ready to be sold yet, right? They don't got enough information. Then they become a sales qualified lead. They apply. They're like, okay, yes, I'm ready for this. Now you have a different conversation with them. But how do you put this automated system in place where now people are going from complete stranger, ice cold, to like warming up to get to the point where they're hot and now they're ready to buy? Like, how do you do that in an automated way? So that's the funnelizing process. And then the monetization process, that's when you enroll. First of all, you got to have a premium price offer, anywhere from $3,000 to $100,000, right? You can anywhere in between. And then make sure you're not just charging premium prices just for the sake of charging premium prices. The service is there as well. But once the marketing is done right, people show up and they sell you on why you should let them buy versus you selling them on why they should buy. So that's the whole SFM method.
They sell you, which is my favorite. So what do you say to the people who are frustrated about niching down, or they don't want to be specific?
I would say just get comfortable where you are then.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because what's going to get you to that next level isn't what got you what got you to where you are isn't going to get you to your next level. So if you want something different, you got to be able to be willing to do something different. And if you look at the most successful people who are in your space, who do similar things, you will see that they do one thing. They specialize in one thing. They don't do everything for everybody.
Yeah. I always call it the lowest common denominator, right? So if you have, when you are in math, it might have been 10th grade math though. So let's just go, right? When you have the least common denominator, right? When you're dividing, you've got 8 twelfths, right? Yeah. And 8 twelfths is really, 2 and 2 6 1/3, right? So it's really 1/3 is the lowest common. Well, that's what you're going to get paid, is 1/3 of the price that you could get paid if you really did it the other way. Because you've got 15 things and they take the cheapest one. That's what they pay for. But then you end up doing these other 10. So you don't want to do that. You want to come out so that you can charge a premium, which is one of the things that Client Attraction University is the best at, is being able to help people charge a premium. So folks listening, I don't know when they're listening, but whether it's the rest of the year, it's what do they need to do to really dominate the end of the year or to make the most of this next quarter?
I would say the biggest thing you got to do is like decide, right? So I would say look at everything you've done up until this point, right? Look at everything you've done up until this point in your business, regardless of where you are. And I would say look at what's the top 20% things that have gotten you 80% of the results, right? So you're just looking at all the different things. So for example, even with our company, be totally transparent, we got many different acquisition strategies now. As we've grown, we do events, we do our case study funnel, we do different things, right? We do not a lot of different things, but we do different things. But now it's at a point like, okay, if we look at what's the thing that works best for us, right? Give us the most leverage, the most profit, that top 20% that drives 80% of the revenue. Even so much, we even looked at our clients and we're like, okay, what are those top 20% clients that generate 80% of the revenue, right? So we're just kind of looking at those things. So I would suggest that you look at your business in the same way. And it's like, okay, if we start eliminating certain things, what's the top 20% in each category? Our clients, what we're doing to get clients, all that. And if you just focused on that and eliminated the other 80% and it just went all in on that. And if you're not sure what that next level is, then of course you hire somebody who has gone where you're looking to go and can kind of give you another perspective outside of what you can see. Because a lot of times we're so close to it that we can't see it. So a great example is it's this dude named Price Pritchard. He has this book called U Squared. And basically he uses story of a fly. And he said the fly is trying to get out of the house. So the fly is banging itself against the glass, trying to get out. But it was like if the fly would have just pulled back a little bit, right to the left of that window was an open door. And he could have just flew out of the door, but he ended up dying trying to get himself through this glass, which wasn't gonna move. So a lot of times, that's just an example of like, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're like working so hard, banging ourselves, trying to get through to this thing that's not working the way we want it to work, instead of just zooming out and just saying, okay, what's a better way?
Yeah, love it.
And a lot of times we don't see that without a coach or with an advisor. So like I have the privilege, right, to have a Richelle where I can be like, hey Richelle, like, what do you think about this? What don't I see? Right, and a Andre and a Bianca. So we're able to have like, what don't I see? Do you see a better way? What am I missing here? What haven't I considered? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important to have that.
Yeah. Well, damn, you are, you're my favorite. I know you say I be lying to you, and I say that to everybody, but it's not, it's the God's honest truth. You are my absolute favorite. I can talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours, which we do often.
For sure.
For hours. First of all, let me say congratulations for being number 951 on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in America.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You were part of that. We did that together, right?
We did that together.
I
couldn't be more proud to be a part. I always say I love you for free. But I truly, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that.
Your commitment to making the world a better place inspires me daily.
Thank you.
Your discipline is unmatched.
Thank you.
Unmatched. And if nobody has ever told you that you are the baddest dude on the planet, you're the baddest dude on the planet.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And your mother is so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Y'all hold on for a second. We'll be right back with my message to Devin.
Hey, MDE Nation, I have some openings to work with me and my team on building your own $1 million business. Or if you already have the $1 million business, you want to add another 2 or 10. Hey, let's spend some time together. The easiest, fastest way is to make sure it's a good fit is to go check out my free training, how to add another $1 million to your business this year. right? You can go grab it for free by going to www.627figures.com. The number 6, number 7, figures.com. You will see the 3 easiest things you can do in your business right now to get to the million faster, and see kind of how my brain works and how we actually work with our private clients. I'm excited to help you add that extra million to your bottom line. Let's have some fun.
Hey, and we're back for my message to Devin, right? So it's really important to find folks in your life, friends in your life, like my friend Marquel, that y'all just listen to. He's loving, caring, and kind. He helped me get rid of the I'm retired, I don't ever want to talk to anybody, by reminding me that there are good people in this world, people who will love you and care about you and tell you they love you every day. You know, he's like us, Devin. You know, I tell you I love you, I don't know, 7 times during the day. And before we hang up from any call, from on team meetings, he always tells us he loves us, right? So whenever you get jaded, whenever you are frustrated, whenever, I should make the song. Whenever you get jaded, frustrated, whenever you feel like this world is a bad place, this world isn't. There are lots of people. You just have to find them. You have to cut off those that aren't for you and move towards those that are for you. Mommy loves you for free. Mommy loves you forever. Mommy will always love you and always be proud of you no matter what, because I know that you are the baddest little on the planet. Yes. Hey, everybody, have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, share it, and let's make the world a better place. All right. I love y'all for free. Have a great one.